So let's start recording. All right. So today we're going to talk about phase two, and that is cleaning up our nutrition. So it's pretty simple. Everyone's read the food guide. I updated it recently. Nothing's changed for phases 1 and 2. So if you've only read that far, really internalized what's in there, that's pretty much all you need to know to this point. I know Sheila had a more pointed question, more so regarding phase 3, which we'll get into today in case anyone's curious, anyone wants some extra credit going forward. But yeah, so phase 2 is cleaning it up. It's basically there's zero room for cheating. So in the beginning, first few weeks, we're following the 80-20 rule, so just making better choices overall. But now it's kind of time to start doing away with that. I know Jessica was not able to be with us tonight, had mentioned that over the weekend she had tried some a hot dog bun, I believe, something of that nature. She didn't really want it. Didn't really eat much of it because it didn't taste good to her and didn't make her feel all that great. But yeah, at this point, it's time to stop giving in and really just taking this new healthy way of eating to the next level. So you really don't need the crap. It's more so wanting and kind of like this expectation that we put on ourselves where, we're supposed to eat, sandwiches, pasta, rice, and things of that nature. When in actuality, we really don't need it. We don't need the processed sugars either. We know what we need to eat. And if we do that, we're going to see some good results. So I'm going to go around here, a little quick round robin. And I'm just going to check in and see whose palate is changing. I know a few of you have commented in the group that certain foods and things that you craved or wanted in the past no longer do. So I want to go down the list in terms of the order that I'm seeing it. So Monica, do you notice if your palate's changing at all?
Oh, absolutely. And me and Jessica and I both had the whole hot dog thing Sunday.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, it's very weird that the food, I've never really been that big on vegetables and that kind of, but now they taste good and everything else tastes bad. Like, about my half a bagel incident.
Right.
It was not that great. Like, I was like, oh, that was kind of worthless. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, well, that was crazy.
Right.
Like, it wasn't even that good. So it's really, it's very different for me. The whole thing is different.
Good, but different in a good way because things that maybe
different in a good. It's just a different lifestyle. I'm like, it's really awesome.
Good. I'm glad you feel that way. So we're gonna go down the line here. So next on the list that I'm seeing is Sheila. So Sheila, do you find your palate's changing as well?
Oh my gosh, drastically different. I don't crave before I would constantly eat sweets or constantly eat carbs, and just don't have that desire anymore. So it feels better to just eat healthier. So
good.
It's great.
Good. Glad to hear. All right. So moving down, we're going to go to Lisa. Lisa, do you find your palate's changing yet?
Yes, definitely. I don't miss it for some reason, which is really odd because I've always been the carb eater. So, when I told you in the beginning, I don't really like meat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working at it. And I have to say, like, I can actually enjoy a steak and I don't want to overeat on it because I don't know. I just, I get my fill and I find I'm stopping. I'm definitely not eating as much. It's kind of like, this is what I equated it to. It's like when you were little and used to like a Pop-Tart. Mm-hmm. And now as an adult, you taste a Pop-Tart and you're like, what did I ever like about that Pop-Tart?
Right, yeah.
Kind of the same idea.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and that's really what it is. I mean, it really doesn't take that long. It takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. This is week 4. So a lot of us are seeing those changes. And yeah, it's absolutely 100% true. If you do bite into something, Monica had the incident with the hot dog bun, and she mentioned a bagel as well. And it just really wasn't as good as she'd remembered. And obviously, none of you guys are that far removed from eating that stuff on a regular basis. So it's great to see. Rita, let me unmute you here. So Rita, are you finding that your palate started to change?
I have. I like zucchini better than I do pasta, I think, now, which is kind of funny, but it's good.
Good. Yeah, that's a great substitute. I actually do the same thing. I get zucchini noodles. They pre-sell it at the stores here, so I'm able to just get it, saute it, and make it. But yeah, I actually love it as well. And have you had anything that maybe you shouldn't have in the process, and you found that it really wasn't as good as you remembered even a few weeks ago?
I have. Actually, this weekend I had some stuff, was with family, and just wasn't a lot to pick from, so I picked a couple carbs, and I actually found I had more cravings. I didn't give in to them, but I had more cravings after eating those than
Right.
I had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's actually very, very common when you do eat those foods. And that's why now with everybody, we're going to work on really tightening things up and staying the course nutritionally, because a lot of those foods, whether it is a sugary food or it's a grain-based food, both of those are addictive. Like, there are scientific studies that validate that they're addictive. In fact, sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. And grains also have it's a similar compound to what you'd find in morphine, which obviously a lot of people who have surgeries and different things, they're prescribed that, and there's a reason that they have to wean themselves off, and it's not just, okay, you just go cold turkey. So it is tough, and that's why I like to introduce people with like the 80-20 rule so they can wean themselves off. But now that your palates are changing, it definitely is good that you have experienced some bad food as well in the last few weeks, and you realize there are some negative effects. But I'm glad zucchini is working out for you, Rita. And then last but not least, Michelle. So Michelle, are you finding your palates changing also?
Definitely. This morning I had zucchini pancakes, and it was, a pre-made one, and it was very salty to me, where it's never tasted salty before. Mm-hmm. It tasted overly salty to me.
Mm-hmm. Where did you get the zucchini pancake from?
It's I think the brand is Golden. Mm-hmm. In the supermarket, it's zucchini, eggs, and cheese, basically, is what it is. Mm-hmm. But it just tasted really salty.
Yeah, and you'll find with a lot of processed foods that they're going to taste, they're either really salty, they're really sweet. They might even taste artificial. Like, I remember, what was it? Maybe like a year ago, I was starving and I was at some crappy hotel in the middle of nowhere, and there was like nothing to eat. And all they had was this vending machine with candy bars and stuff like that. And I had a Snickers bar, and I hadn't had a Snickers bar in like 10 years. And it almost tasted fake, like artificial, like rubbery and nasty. And you'll find that if you eat a processed food, even if it's labeled healthy, if it is overloaded with sodium or sugar or even artificial sweetener, you're going to taste it. So I'm glad everybody, did I get to everybody? Yes. I'm glad everybody's palate is changing. So we're going to do another round robin. Happy fun time. So who's experiencing fewer cravings for junk? I mean, some of you already experienced this, so I'm going to go down the line again. So Rita, you're first in terms of what I'm seeing on my list. So are you experiencing fewer cravings for junk than you were when you started?
Oh, definitely. I haven't had any sweets. I've had carbs, but not, high sugar sweets. And I'm just finding I'm not missing them. So, good. And I was a big sweet eater, so that's a good accomplishment.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm glad. And what have you been substituting? Oh, or I guess in the beginning when you still were craving, what were you substituting in place of the sweets?
Actually, I didn't. I just stopped.
You just ignored it. Good. Okay, good.
Yep.
That works
until I got through it. Yep.
Yeah. It's tough in the beginning, but discipline and willpower, it'll get you far. And once you get through the withdrawal, if you have any, that's good. All right. So we're gonna work with me, mouse. All right, moving down the line. So Sheila, you're next on the list of people I'm seeing. So are you experiencing fewer cravings also for some of the junk you might have been eating at the beginning of the program?
Yeah, definitely. And like Rita, I was a huge sweet eater. I was always eating sugar or carbs of some sort. So it's nice not having those cravings anymore. And literally I can have them in the house and not even want them. So that's really nice.
Awesome. Yeah, that's tough. And even with myself, for many years, even when I got my nutrition down, I couldn't even do that. Like if it was in the house, it was still a problem. So I'm glad that, you have the willpower and also just the desire has gone. It happens faster with some people than others, but glad you're seeing the positive effects. All right. So moving down the line, we got Lisa. So Lisa, are you experiencing fewer cravings for some of the junk as well?
Yeah. I mean, I was never a huge junk eater. I mean, I like my dessert here and there, but usually it was just, weekend celebration, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I've been tested going out to dinner with friends and everything. And I don't know why. The mindset this time is just there. I think the group, the accountability, the check-ins, like all of it is falling into place. So I feel like I'm in a really good place right now, and I'm not hungry. I think not having to weigh, and think too much about what I'm going to eat, it's just more simple.
Right.
And I think that helps to reduce, like I'm not looking for something to eat and then, I don't know.
Right.
I can't explain it, but it's good.
Well, right. Yeah. When you're eating the right types of foods and you're listening to your body, as opposed to, I think we talked about this last time we talked about nutrition, instead of just eating on this regimented schedule we've been taught since we were kids, you really get in tune with your body. And I think also because you're in tune with your body, your palate is changing, your body's operating more efficiently. You're just going to crave this stuff a lot less, which is good. All right. So, Michelle, you're up next. So are you experiencing fewer cravings as well?
I definitely am. There was a couple times where I did want something sweet. And what I did both times, and it worked for me, is I made a cup of tea and I put a little bit of honey in it, and it was enough to take my craving away, and I was fine.
Yeah, that's a much better option than eating ice cream or a candy bar or something like that. So, yeah, that's good hack. Yeah, and honey can be high in sugar, but yeah, if you're putting it in tea, I doubt you put in very much.
No,
So,
not a lot at all.
right. So that's good. That's a good hack for some people who may have those late night sugar cravings. And then lastly, Monica, are you experiencing fewer cravings?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I've always been a huge sweet eater, and then after I had the surgery, I couldn't eat it at all, and then it would make me sick, and now it's kind of making me sick again. Like if I even a little bit of something, it makes my stomach hurt. So that's a great incentive, and I think that the group and the accountability to you is really, really making a difference for me.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad. And yeah, like
middle of the night, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll have some chocolate chips, and you think, oh man, I gotta write that down.
yeah. When you're accountable to someone, it definitely helps. And on top of that as well, yeah, I mean, when your body's operating efficiently and it's only processing good, healthy foods, then it is very tough for it to ingest either processed artificial crap or stuff that's really high in sugar or grain, stuff that we're biologically not designed to ingest at very high rates. So, all right, thanks for sharing that, everyone. So we're going to get to your questions. So like I said, I mean, the informational part is pretty much just tighten it up nutritionally. That's really it. And if you're able to do that, you're going to see better results. All of you have seen good results so far. It's only going to get better. The better you eat, the faster you'll get to where you want to be. So let's get into questions. So there were a few posted in the group, and then we'll open it up to everybody. So Lisa, I'm going to meet you here. You asked about snow peas and snap peas, then spices, and then condiments. So I broke it down in 3 parts. So to get started, when it comes to snap and snow peas, I looked into their glycemic index ratings. Neither of them are. I did see some articles about the sugar content, but from what I can see in terms of the metrics that matter to me, that's glycemic index and glycemic load. They're actually considered very low glycemic vegetables. So I think you're fine on both ends, regardless of which one you decide to eat.
Both.
Yep, both are good. Secondarily, spices. So to my knowledge, I haven't seen a spice that's going to hurt your weight loss efforts. However, there are 10 that can actually significantly help. So if you like to cook and you're looking to add some spice, these are the top 10. And I got this from a source. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of Dr. Mercola, but that's a guy that I follow very closely. And these are the top 10 spices that he recommends. So I got this straight off his website. So cloves, cinnamon, Jamaican allspice, apple pie spice, oregano, pumpkin pie spice, marjoram, sage, thyme, and gourmet Italian spice. So all of these are going to be good. So if you like to cook with any of that already, awesome. Also, I know turmeric, curcumin is great. Pepper, cayenne pepper. Those are all good as well to add to everything.
Because I noticed, like, now I'm reading labels more and more. And I was looking at one of the spices that I had, and it's honey Aleppo, and it's a spicy, but the honey, I guess. And when you look at it, there is sugar in it.
Oh, so they add sugar to it. And so that's an important distinction. Okay, so I probably didn't pick up on that aspect of the question. So it is important, guys, if you're going to be cooking with spice, whether you already have it in your house or you're at the grocery store, you have a recipe and you need to pick up a spice or two to incorporate into the recipe, definitely look at the label and look at not just the ingredients. You're looking for pretty much the ingredients to be what it is. So if it's oregano, you want pretty much all it says is oregano. You don't want it to have anything else. So that's number one. And number two, do look at the sugar content because that's going to be key. If it's 3 grams or more per serving, then I would say definitely don't do it. And if there's any sugar in it at all, I would probably recommend finding another brand of the same spice that doesn't have it because none of these should. In my opinion, I've not come across maybe the pumpkin pie and apple pie spice, but I think very little. The rest of this should be completely devoid of sugar.
And what about salt?
Yeah, so salt, I would recommend if you're going to get salt, I would get a sea salt instead of like a generic table salt.
What about the pink Himalayan?
I've heard even better things about that. I've never used it personally. But I've seen a couple of studies and articles that say that if you're going to have salt, that is by far the best one to get. So I'd say pink Himalayan if they sell at the store. And if they don't sell that at the store, I know pretty much every grocery store in the United States sells sea salt. So that would be my second go-to.
Pink Himalayan is everywhere now.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. Yeah. I usually get salt like those giant things. So I'm usually good for like 2 years. But yeah. Yeah, if you need salt, I'd say pink Himalayans, number 1. Number 2, sea salt. Number 3, just generic table salt. I'd avoid the table salt because they fortify it with iodide, and it's not necessarily the best thing for your health if you're eating that all the time. They say it is, but it's just like grains that are fortified with vitamins and minerals. If it has to be fortified to make it healthier, then that should make you question what you're ingesting in the first place. So that would be the hierarchy in terms of salt. Did you have any other questions about spices?
Mustard. No, I'm on to condiments.
There you go. Yeah, mustard's the best. Mustard, organic mustard preferably. I've seen some bad things if you get a generic mustard. The mustard seeds are not cultivated very effectively. And like I talked about on the first meeting we had about produce, when they're sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, the same thing happens with the seeds. So they grow a mustard plant and they create mustard out of that. I've seen some bad things about that. So get an organic mustard if you're going to have mustard. But mustard doesn't have any sugar in it. I'd say it's probably the best condiment in my opinion if you're going to use one. Organic ketchup, most of them are pretty good. It's just organic ketchup. It's just tomatoes and a couple other things. There is sugar in there. So I'd say try and stick with a brand that is 3 grams or less per serving. And usually the servings on those are like a tablespoon or 2. So that should be more than enough for, whatever you're eating. And then lastly, there's a brand called Primal Kitchen. You can get it on Amazon or on their website, but Amazon's cheaper. And they have both a good avocado mayo and a chipotle mayo. So if you like a spicy mayo, they make a very good one as well. So those would be the 3 go-tos that I would say.
What about the vegan mayonnaise?
I would have to see the label. What a lot of mayonnaises have, whether they're vegan or not, that I don't like are soybeans. Soybeans have been linked to cancer and a bunch of other things that none of us want. So I would say stay away from any mayonnaise product that has soybean in it. The reason I recommend...
I know like Vegenaise has one made from grapeseed oil. Mm-hmm. There's other choices too, but it's still, I think, processed. I mean, I guess anything like that.
Oh yeah, and any of this, if it's in the jar that it comes in, it's definitely processed to an extent. The one thing about those mayos as well that are made out of like grapeseed oil or any omega-6 oil is that often when they're creating a mayonnaise, those omega-6 oils are heated, and I'm sure you've all heard of trans fat, and that's kind of what happens when they heat it. And, you know, they may say that there is no trans fat, but you can't really know for certain. So I like to play it safe. And I know the Primal Kitchen mayonnaises, they're just made out of like eggs and avocado, and the Chipotle one has some pepper in it as well, but there's no soybean, there's no omega-6 vegetable oil. So I would say if you're going to go the mayo route, I would go with Primal Kitchens.
Okay, great.
Cool. Did you have any other questions?
I think you hit it all.
All right. Awesome. Let's move on here. So Michelle, all right, Michelle, you're off mute. So you asked about feeling hungry. We kind of got into it in the thread, but we'll answer it for those who weren't able to see it. So you asked about you have a protein shake, and then it doesn't hold off your hunger like an egg would, and you're finding that eggs are just getting boring. So some other substitutes. Okay. So the reason for that is that eggs are a whole food. They're also a high fat and high protein food. So what are you putting in your protein shakes?
Okay, well, it is it's a high protein shake. It's a keto shake, and it's high protein. And I'm putting cherries in it and organic milk.
Okay. All right. So, and how much organic milk do you know off the top of your head?
I only use a cup, like 8 ounces. No, okay. I don't even think it's 8 ounces.
Okay. So, I mean, I can definitely speculate. I know with organic milk, the one downfall is that it is high in sugar. So a cup of that usually has about 16 grams of sugar in it. So 8 ounces. Yeah. So that's definitely a good amount of sugar, which, you know, if you're having it, you know, before or after a workout within an hour, that's not a big deal because your body will metabolize it a lot more effectively. But when your body burns through all that sugar, that's when you're going to get hungry. So that would be my guess. Also, just in terms of how our bodies process different types of ingested material, if we ingest a liquid, so if we drink something like a protein shake, often it's metabolized quicker. So it has its effect and it satiates our hunger faster, but unfortunately, it also wears off faster. When you eat, you know, a food like an egg, which is high in fat, it takes time for it to metabolize so that we stay fuller for longer and it satisfies us longer. And then that's why I asked about the MCT oil. I know you use the powder, and I think the powder, like the liquid in the protein shake, it dissolves faster and it's soaked up faster by your system. So I think if you want to try the MCT oil, you might want to try and get the liquid form and see if that works any better. Or I know Lisa recommended coconut milk. Coconut milk is extremely filling. Like I got one from Trader Joe's when it was in season, and I would have half a cup of that and I was full for like 5-6 hours after drinking that in my protein shakes. It is extremely filling. So that might be a good hack. And also if you wanted like a whole food hack in that regard, I'd say avocado. I don't know if you like avocado, but if you do, those are good. And those are good organic or conventional. So you don't have to buy the organic version if you don't want to. Did you have any other questions or was that it?
No, that was it. It's just basically that I'm kind of getting sick of eggs. I've had them every which way.
Yep. No, yeah, I hear you. Yeah. So
and I told you about something that I found. That moon cheese. You know, it's crunchy cheese, and oh my God, it helps me tremendously when I need a crunch or something. So yeah. One morning I tried that and a handful, like a handful of nuts, and that worked better than the shake even, you know.
Right, and that's because those are both the nuts and the cheese are in, a whole food form, so it digested slower, and also that's probably a higher fat content overall in terms of the nuts and the cheese put together. So yeah, I'd say, if you're sick of eggs, have that. If you like avocado, get a few of those and have one in the morning. That should probably help you as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like avocado, so that is a good idea for the morning for me.
Yeah, I have at least one every day. I love avocado. I love guacamole. So that's definitely a go-to for me as well. And I also put MCT oil in my coffee, and between the two, I'm usually good well until the afternoon.
Okay.
All right, cool. Any other questions, or are you all set?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. All right, coming up next. So Sheila, there you are. All right, so Sheila won that nutrition contest a few weeks back. So we had a call, and she's getting a jump start on phase 3 of the program. So I'm not recommending that all of you do this if you don't want. If you want to speed ahead, feel free. But basically, Sheila, you said that you cut out grains, potatoes, lentils, all the stuff we talked about, and you're still getting more than 10% of your daily intake, over 10% from carbs. So the last couple of weeks, guys, of the program, FYI, will be phase 3. So that's week 7 and 8. And that's the only time I'm going to ask you to track your food in terms of your macronutrient intake and your net carbs. It's all in the food guide, the updated one. So click on the link in the group if you haven't downloaded it since the first week of the program. But all right, so let's get into this. So in the food guide, this is what you're going to see in phase 3, right? So these are the macronutrient breakdowns. So fat, you want to eat anywhere from 60 to 70% for the day. It sounds high, but trust me, it's very easy. You're not going to feel, it's not going to be too hard on your stomach if you eat the right kinds. And we'll go over that when the time comes. Protein, 20 to 30%. So you don't want to eat too much protein. It can impair your renal function, your kidneys. But 20 to 30% is typically where we want to be. And then carbs, you want to stay 0 to 10%. So that's aspect number 1. Aspect number 2, it's either 10% of your daily intake, or you're going to go after your net carbs. Sheila, were net carbs in your food guide, or is this new to you?
Ooh. I think, well, it pops up when it says how many carbs, but when I look at the percentage, I've been about like 24%.
Okay. Yeah. So that might be misleading, and that's why I say either 10%. So if you're around 10%, you're good.
It has 50 grams behind it. Is that what it was?
Yeah. So net carbs, it's a very simple math equation. So usually when you see the pie chart and it says fats, proteins, carbs, it's going to say, X% of this, Y% of that. If you go to nutrients, which should be one of the options that you can scroll to, you should see total carbs and then fiber. So usually it's the fiber's right underneath total carbs. So you subtract total carbs from fiber, and if it's anywhere from 50 to 75 per day, you're good. So
because my carbs are 50 and fiber was 14.
Okay, so you're at 36 right now. That's fine. That's good.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
So
I was like, oh gosh, I'm really trying hard. How could I not be where I'm supposed to be?
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's very difficult. But yeah, if you eat a pretty fibrous diet, 14 grams of fiber for 50 grams of carbs total, that's actually pretty good. So that means your carb sources are pretty good. So I think you're fine. Yeah, you're in that range. So as long as you're within that range of 50 to 75 per day, you're gonna continue to see results.
Okay. Thanks. That helps.
Yeah. No problem. Did you have any other questions?
No, that was my big one.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we're going to do another round robin once we get through all the other questions. And then, if anything comes to mind, we'll definitely touch base again before the end of the call. All right. So, all right. Any other questions? So let me get to some of the folks who did not submit a question. So Rita, I'm seeing you first. So any questions that come to mind nutritionally or in general?
I think I would like to know how good or bad cheese is. When I start to snack, cheese is something I can carry with me, a cheese stick or something like that, and don't know if I'm overdoing that because I know it's high in calories, but.
Yeah. So in terms of cheese, I think it depends on the person. So I'm assuming that you don't have a dairy allergy if you're eating cheese. So you should be fine. I'm a proponent of eating cheese. I just personally can't. I actually am allergic to it. So if you feel bloated and your stomach bothers you after you eat cheese and you're not seeing results and you're finding you're eating a lot of cheese, it could be because your body's not reacting well to the cheese. A lot of people don't know they have a dietary allergy to cheese. So you can play with it for a week, but I think it's a great snack to have. And I wouldn't worry too much about your calorie content. It's definitely quality over quantity when it comes to, sustainable nutrition. And I think that if your body tolerates cheese well, and that's your go-to snack, like Michelle said, she has, cheese with some nuts and she's good. I think that would be good for you too as well. So why don't you try it out, see if you continue to see progress. And if you do, then I'd say that's a good go-to snack for you.
Okay. And what about fruit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with fruit, it's all about the glycemic index. And luckily, because I'm assuming you're watching this on your iPhone, it shows.
Yep.
And so all you'd have to do is go to Safari or whatever browser you have and type glycemic index of apple, banana, whatever it is. If it's 0 to 49, if that's the rating it shows you, then it's good. If it's 50 to 100, then it's too sugary and you should probably look to have something else.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it depends. Like some of my go-tos fruit-wise are any type of berry is good. So it doesn't matter what kind of berry, any type is good. Cherries are good. Apples, pears, oranges, those are all good sources. And some of the favorites that people have that you should probably stay away from are grapes and melons of any kind tend to be extremely high on the glycemic index.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. No problem. All right. And last but not least, Monica, any questions nutritionally?
No, I think everybody answered them pretty well.
Cool. All right, great. So I'm going to do one more round robin with everybody and make sure. And then if nothing else, we'll be good for tonight. So Lisa, any questions come to mind since?
I think you hit them all. No, thanks.
Great. All right. Sheila, any other questions that have come to mind?
Nope, I'm good.
Perfect. All right. So I got Lisa already. Michelle, any nutritional questions come to mind?
I do have one. Somebody told me that if you're going to eat carbs, you should, if you're going to have some type of carb, you should have it later in the day. Is that your belief too, that it should be?
Okay, so the reason that they're saying that often is that a lot of people tend to work out later in the day. So if you work out and you work out hard, then you're going to burn something called your muscle glycogen stores. So what a lot of people in fitness will tell you is that you should eat a higher carb meal at the end of the day after a workout so that you replenish that muscle glycogen. So you're not as sore, your muscles recover faster, and that way you can continue to up your game on the physical side of things. If you're exercising later in the day and you're eating a higher carb meal, that can help you, sure. In terms of weight loss, it depends what carbs you're eating. So if you're eating the carbs within the parameters of what we've laid out, that's fine if you have a higher carb meal, provided they're the good carbs. If it's stuff like grains and sugar and stuff like that, it's probably not going to do you much good on the scale or in terms of inches lost. But
yeah, no, I'm talking about the allowable, like a half a cup. It doesn't matter to you if we have it like earlier in the day or matter to me.
Well, yeah, I don't think it would matter too much, but yeah, if you want to, if a good hack would be if you're going to have, the starch of your carbs, like you just said, like the half a cup, I would have that later in the day if you're worked out later in the day. If you worked out in the morning, then you should probably have it in the morning. So I time it around the time you work out and within an hour or so of when you complete your workout, if you can.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions?
Nope, that's it.
All right, great. So we got Lisa, we got Michelle, we got Sheila. This thing keeps going out of order, so I'm sorry. All right. Rita, any other questions come to mind?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Cool. And then Monica, last but not least, any final questions?
No, that was great. Everybody answered a lot or asked a lot of great questions tonight, I thought.
Awesome. All right. So that That just about sums everything up, guys. So we do have that nightly accountability post for fitness. I will get the winner to the group tomorrow. It was a close race, and I have to go back and I have to actually count up what the average rating for each person was before I anoint a winner. But yeah, I will let you guys know tomorrow. And that's pretty much it. So if there's nothing else, have a good night, everyone. And I will post this up in the group very, very shortly. And if anybody has any questions, either post it in the group. I'm sure someone else will have a similar question, or feel free to message me directly with anything. Good night, everyone.